I had a great gut feeling about the president, or particularly before he became president. I thought he was great. You still hold people to their word, and you hold them to standards, and you hold them to the law and rights and so forth. And it's simply not right to put someone in jail for freaking ever. We're not even talking about, like, you're in jail for a few months or even a few years, but we're gonna get you a trial. Like, we're trying here. There's a backlog or something. No, frick it. There's actually saying that we can keep you in jail forever. We don't have to explain to anybody. I'm sorry. That is wrong. That is kind of tyrannical. Or potentially tyrannical. Even if Obama himself does a great job and only imprisons people who deserve it. Like, he's leaving this power for, like, whoever the next president is. Terrible. It's absolutely terrible. Then there have been reports of stimulus money not necessarily being well spent and going to pet projects and so forth. And you're like, some of this is a little vague, but I'm not, like, quoting, crap right straight from the Republican Party or from Fox News or whatever. I'm looking at information as best as I can gather it. Then comes healthcare. When Obama goes right up and says, okay, we're gonna do healthcare. Great, let's do healthcare. Got a terrible problem with healthcare in this country. Costs incredible much, and we don't live like any longer than anybody else. So there must be an incredible amount of inefficiency somewhere in this system. Now, a lot of people would like a single payer plan, which is what a bunch of other nations have, like Britain and France and places in Canada, and they do quite well with it. And that's where the government just does all the medical stuff, and they're the one-stop shop for everything. In fact, no one else is practically even allowed. That may depend. But basically, it would be the big notion of government doing basically everything with regards to healthcare. That was very quickly abandoned. So we have the public option. So there's the various, random places you can buy health insurance from, and then the government provides a public option. Like, okay, at least that's a fair step forward. That's good. That's very good. I mean, particularly if the public option works out, then maybe eventually we'll decide that, government-run healthcare would be good. The public option would be sort of a proving grounds for the government to show that it knows what the crap it's doing. Though actually we sort of have Medicare and Medicaid, which is already a proving grounds, but everyone seems to ignore the existence of those things. Everyone's always like, don't do government healthcare! And like, you do realize that there's like a third of Americans on government healthcare, whether it's by Medicare or Medicaid or like the Veterans Administration or Affairs or, just, there's like a lot of people on these things. Anyway, so public option, great. Now, that's not necessarily been working out. We haven't got the votes to pass that bill. And allow me to be clear, Barack Obama is no longer a member of Congress. People can vote whichever way they want, and just because they vote down a good idea doesn't mean it's Barack Obama's fault. But, as Mr. Greenwald has recently pointed out, Barack Obama is not exactly throwing his weight behind it. Like, to be clear, what are you talking about? He's on TV all the time, talking about healthcare. Oh, yeah, he's done that. He's absolutely done that. But he hasn't done much to pressure the people, the Democrats particularly, who are threatening to vote against, whatever plan. There's like several plans on the table. There's 5 bills, I think. But, as Mr. Greenwald points out, there's a vast apparatus at Barack Obama's disposal. He's got in charge of, he can help out with your fundraising, for instance. Or you could refuse to help out with your fundraising, which is something he did for some sort of war spending bill thing he wanted passed. and there's some Democrats threatened to vote against it, and Obama administration said, okay, if you guys vote against it, then, sort of screw you when comes time for fundraising. And the guy said, oh, okay, I guess we'll vote for it. Obama is not using any of the screw you statements with regards to the healthcare thing and the public option thing. And Mr. Greenwald has recently posed the theory that really they're not gunning for the public option. They mentioned it, they brought it up, they want to give the notion that, hey, we tried, but they're not giving it the full effort. And that may well be true. Obama's recently sort of backed off and said, well, the public option is not necessarily necessary. There are other things we can do to reform healthcare, it's true, but that was a big deal. It's the idea that, the government might be able to do things more efficiently, which sounds like an incredible paradox or an incredible contradiction to some people. Government can do things efficiently. Well, actually, I think some study I saw was like the administrative costs of Medicare or Medicaid was like 5%, and the administrative costs of comparable private plans was like 12%. So apparently we've done this more efficiently than the private thing. That'd be great if you did have a government option, the public option, and people could get in and they could save themselves a lot of money. And that's failing, and I don't think it's failing just because there are a bunch of random people in Congress who don't want to make it happen. It's because Obama is not committed to it, I think. Like, the Democrats have freaking majorities all over the place. House, Senate, presidency. And they're still not accomplishing, on healthcare and on, investigating previous war crimes crap and on, giving detainees rights in future cases. Even on the environment, it was setting up a cap and trade system thing, which was cool. But then there was giving off carbon credits for free to various companies. When Obama had said we wouldn't do that, and then we did that, and I don't recall Obama saying, screw you, Congress, what the frick, I told you not to do that. Again, Obama can't force them to vote any which way, but you at least make a public statement. I'm disappointed that they passed this bill, and they should have passed that bill. Didn't do that. And this healthcare thing. Where do we end up on healthcare? Here's the nightmare scenario. We pass a healthcare reform bill that says everyone has to be covered. And then it offers basically no reform besides that. No cost controls, no thing to lower drug prices, in a way that would still keep the drug companies in business, but lowering drug prices would be nice, and lowering prices of random crap, and so people can afford to get themselves cured, or better yet, if the government would just cure them and pay for it, and that's it's another option, or at least have a public option so people could have that thing where the government would take care of. If we do nothing at all to bring down costs, and then we force everyone to sign up for healthcare, well, that's just a boon for the healthcare companies. That's give free money to the healthcare. That's like a bailout.